famous Shannon Sharp. We checking on Trump on Wednesday, and she then we close things out.
Welcome to my Mic Sounds Nice, a freestyle conversation about health, relationships, and culture. As always, glad to be with you. This is Tim.
Mic check 1, 2. My mic sounds nice. This is Kev.
Yo, we good, bro. We got to start off, man. Welcome back, man.
They let you back in the country.
They let you back in the country, baby, because that's not a free thing anymore, man.
Yeah, man.
Had to make sure your visa was up to order. You had papers.
Yeah, I got the kids acting up in the airport. I'm like, yo, man, this is an airport, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this ain't downtown in your neighborhood, B. Like,
Yeah. You know,
but really quick, how was Ghana for you, man? I know that's a
It
place
was-
that's near and dear to you.
it was great, man. It was great. Built deeper connections with the people I connected with the first time. Watched our boys set back American basketball 20 years by getting mopped by a Ghanaian team. But it was beautiful. Beautiful. I
Good.
recommend it to everybody.
Well, glad you was able to make it. Glad you made it back safely.
No doubt.
Because me and Reggie Jacks, we was like, we're not gonna do the show without you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Shannon Sharp. Shannon.
Who
What you say?
Who are you talking about?
AKA Shay Shay.
AKA Shay Shay. There you go. So, an Instagram model. I forgot to write down her name. Yeah, maybe y'all have it. So, an Instagram model accused ESPN host and analyst Shannon Sharp of sexual assault, harassment, and overall controlling behavior during their relationship between October 2024 and January of 2025. Accused of rape and all types of other threatened to choke her, all types of just poor behavior. Tony Busby, her attorney, which we remember from the Jay-Z lawsuit that was recently kicked to the side, filed a civil suit seeking a $50 million judgment. I don't even know what to say. All the advice that my man gets on or gives on Club Shay Shay, all the stuff that he's kicking to Chad Ochocinco.
Banging our Ocho to be right. Don't be late. Gotta be professional. We got the bag right now. Let's run for the touchdown. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
As I said in the pre-production meeting, I think this is a situation where more than one thing is true.
But hey, before you go, we may have listeners that Kev, you
Okay.
didn't say one factor about the Instagram model that is actually prompting our take on
Yes.
it. And that's not to minimize the allegations of sexual misconduct, but there's another piece to this story that has three men in their middle 50s having this conversation.
Yes. My mic sounds nice. Does not just talk about controversy to just get into it. If it doesn't serve a purpose to our pillars or our beliefs, we don't get into it.
Facts.
And we got into this because she is 21, 22, 23 right now.
Yeah.
And he met her when she was 19. So
Yeah.
we consider that a large contributing factor to the overall relationship, not to any allegations.
Yes.
But of importance.
And he is more than her age twice.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, he's 56, 57, right? So at the time, he must have been around 54, 55.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Like
and building his empire at that time.
Yeah.
When all this is going on, this is when he's hot like fish grease. So on a personal standpoint, I'm disappointed that a man in his 50s is even bothering to mess with a 20-year-old because one, they're just unstable in nature and life because they're growing and changing and developing into the adult they're going to be, and that comes with a lot of controversy. A lot of times people at age are depressed. I know I was depressed for years and didn't understand I was depressed. And it's just foolish, let alone, other takes how I feel like it's taking advantage. But that's horrid in and of itself. I'm concerned about Tony Busby because I don't trust him at all. And if she went through anything, Shannon should be put under the jail. But I don't understand why she would go to Tony Busby, one, for money, and two, not go to the authorities because this just happened. So that's disappointing in and of itself. The audio tapes have large gaps in them that sound and lend to the idea that there's some real audio manipulation going on. Not that he didn't say certain words, but that the conversation isn't free flowing the way it normally would. So it's I
not
don't
within
trust
the context.
Yes. So the whole thing stinks to high heaven. Because if she had anything happen to her, this is not the way to go about a proper resolution.
We live. It's weird because we live in a society when these types of things get presented. You have a portion that will immediately attribute guilt to the man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, rightfully so, but there are times where that's not the case. We also live in a society where, sadly, we will make women who have been victimized almost have to overprove what they've gone through. So you have all of that. But I love the point where you were saying that, like, I'm just questioning where he is. And I think that he represents a larger mindset of being older, being more established, where I feel like there is a power play tied into the objectification and sexual innuendo that is there, that you're being drawn to and actually forming some semblance of a relationship with someone that is close to 35 years younger than you.
And it sounds like they had a real relationship.
Yes,
through the edits, not even just a sexual thing.
Yes,
but like a real relationship.
Yes, which is why I'm choosing my words because, and this is not, and as you said, more than one thing can be true. And because we're leaning into one point, we're not discrediting or approving another. That if this was just a physical lust connect, that still wouldn't be appropriate and it would be worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
But like both of you all were saying, even if they are editing these words, they're all his words. Yeah. and it's and from his position, it feels like, yo, I thought we had something that went awry.
Yes.
My thing is, you shouldn't have had anything. So
I mean, and I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
So I'm probably a lot more permissive when it comes to this. Not that I'm definitely saying that I condone the age gap, because that's definitely not for me.
Yes. Him and his wife are the same age. My mic sounds nice, audience. Yes. Him and his wife are the same age. We were all in school together.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to put that out there.
Live and let live, Kev.
I'm definitely more of the live and let live, as long as no one's being hurt. I can't understand it from an emotional intelligence standpoint of how you can have that type of age gap and you can be in the same place. Like, to me, it's not necessarily the age gap; it's about whether you are in the same place. Like, if both of us are growing, at the same time, even though you're particularly older, you might have just had a stupid life. You might not have made a whole bunch of bad choices. And now I'm 40, 50 years old, and I'm kind of getting my life together, and I'm with somebody who's younger, and
so you're living Nas' second childhood while that other person is still in their first one. But I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all about being in the same place at the same time. They were not in the same place at the same time, which just makes it weird. What I don't understand for these men, and you want to, I understand the lust, you want to be with a young woman. I get all that. I don't understand the fake body parts, the BBLs and all of this, being attracted to these things, because it's not a person in the circles that you're moving in. You're not going to take her to these places.
Yeah.
She's not going to be
on your arm.
She's not going to be on your arm. She's not going to be giving you sage advice. She's not going to be giving you wisdom.
She's not going to be like, yo, you can't trust him. Don't do any business with him.
Yeah. She's got nothing to draw on. What's she going to draw on? Yo, when I was in social studies last year, this kid was looking at me funny. Like, come on, man. You can't. It's a problem.
Like, yo, he said social studies.
Like, here's a thought. You should not be a man in middle age with someone who wasn't too long ago in middle school. It's like you got a yellow Lamborghini and she just got off a yellow school bus. Make that make sense.
Also,
she don't know nothing about all she knows is the internet and cell phones, and like, come on, what are we talking about?
To me, the decision making,
but that's not down on her because she's that age.
Yeah. But the decision making on his part, just in first of all, you're on the cell phone with a 20-year-old, and it doesn't cross your mind that she might tape you. Like, first of all, that should automatically be like, they are all into the technology. You're on the phone and you're talking about choking each other, and even if you are into that, that's fine. That's more common than it's very common. Let's leave it at that. But have that conversation in private in your bedroom, not on some so just the lack of care, the lack of attention to detail, the lack of professionalism, or the idea that a relationship could go wrong. That is why I always love what Derek Jeter did. He dated people that have something to lose as much as him. He dated other actresses. He wasn't out in the streets with Sammy Joe or Tiger Woods with the waitress. That is how you really need to move if you're gonna be a professional man. And then on top of that, it should be age appropriate. So I'm disappointed. I hope that this gets resolved. I don't trust Tony Busby, so I really look at this case skeptically. But if Shannon did anything wrong, he's got to face the consequences. And I also don't understand this weird thing of people in interracial relationships that say all of this black and white stuff, like put a big black baby in me, and like I don't understand.
Well, I
don't understand. I don't understand that dynamic of interracial relationships where they say wild racial things to each other.
I think it's a dynamic of some sort of race play and pornography.
Oh yeah.
And if you if that's how they're speaking in that area, and if that's how people, unfortunately, pornography has become sex ed for young people. Then,
repeat that for the people in the back, bro.
and then that's what they tend to mimic, and they're going to speak in those ways.
It's so just even like that. I don't feel like you said. Whatever is truth, I pray that truth comes to light, and where there needs to be consequences, let there be consequences. But for whoever. But the lesson is like, at what age? It's not even the age, because I like at what stage do you understand the trappings and don't willfully put yourself in that position? You, as Shannon Sharpe, you blew up because of the internet, because of technology. So you would think that you have an understanding of the game because you was able to manipulate the algorithm into your favor.
And you've already been caught on tape.
And
With a
yes,
mistake with
exactly.
Michelle.
Yes. So it's like you got caught, air quote, on an act that was appropriate, air quote.
Yeah.
So with that just happening, that shouldn't make you, it's almost kind of like, yo, that was the warning shot.
Yes.
That didn't make you be like, yo, man, we shutting it down. I'm like, it is just mind-boggling.
I have never
how the temptation that is attached to our physical can totally cause us to control, alt, delete, and wipe out
honestly, man,
our sense of just like, yo, do you really understand? Because as you said, if I'm her, I'm recording it too.
Everything.
Even if it was just for the props to say, hey, look who I'm with.
Yes.
Yeah. It's, and I know we banging on Shannon, and there's definitely, other people out there chasing young women, chasing people that are inappropriate, and some are manipulation. Like this one doesn't necessarily sound like manipulation, or, I think they were both out. They seem to have both been after something. And kind of be careful what you get. But we know too often in life there is a lot of manipulation that takes place where men are chasing younger women.
Yes.
So do you want to take this to the next step of broaden it beyond Shannon?
Yeah, let's kick it down the street.
Let's kick it. But before we go to that, I'm gonna say this. Tracee Ellis Ross was on TV. Was on a podcast with Michelle Obama recently. And she was talking about she wasn't going to date. She didn't want to date men her age because of the toxic masculinity that they would bring towards her. Like, as they had certain preconceptions about how they expected a woman to behave. And because she wasn't functioning in that way, that didn't work for her. So she was looking for younger men.
I think that's a great excuse, because I think young men have maybe even more toxic masculinity with the red pill space. You don't find 50-year-old men as red pillars. Those are all young guys.
I don't think she's talking red pill. I think
no. But I'm just saying that this.
But I think she's talking specific to what they expect a black woman to be in the space that they expect a woman her age to be, and they weren't feeling.
How old is she?
I want to say like 50.
Because if she's in our generation,
yeah, she's in her 50s. Probably.
I think she's a couple of years younger than us, but I want to say like maybe early 50.
I'll give
52.
Yep.
I'll give her grace in the fact that she's probably dealing with guys that are doing the most and highly successful, and maybe their point of view is skewed in that way. But I would say our generation in general, that's not my experience. Men, our generation know women are going to work. Women are going to have a life. They're not like...
Yeah, all our mothers worked.
Yes. Now, I believe the generation before us...
Yeah.
I believe... Boomers.
Yes.
Baby boomers.
Yeah. I believe they're what she's saying. But maybe, like I said, the successful men she's dating, they just want to come home and have someone there for them, make them feel a certain way.
I think part of that could also be what is being interpreted as that toxic masculinity. How does that show up? I think what you're speaking to are those very traditional tropes that we saw when we was growing up, but it also could be just thinking that men our age are past the age of changing opinions, adjusting views. I am what I am, and that could be slid under. which really isn't toxic
It
masculinity,
isn't, but
but
it could be.
it could
It
be.
could.
I'm just
So,
saying that
yeah.
in her position, it could be broader than
Yep.
the Jane Cleaver
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
pictorial that is there.
That's fair, because
So,
we don't know exactly what she meant.
yeah.
Uh,
Nor do we know when she says younger,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
how young. Like I don't think. I hope she ain't sliding into the DM of a junior in college.
Yeah.
man,
I
I think
don't think she was talking about showing up at Howard's homecoming. Like, what's good?
I think she's digging that 35-year-old. I do. I think she's, I think she's digging that 30-year-old. I do. I just do. Maybe I'm wrong, but So,
but it could be just for what? Age gaps in relationships. What's too far?
So I did some research, and I was really shocked about the things that I learned. The 8% of the population are age gap relationships. 8% of relationships are age gap relationships.
What is defined as an age gap?
It didn't define it, but I would assume they would mean over 10 years. I would hope. Now, with science, I never thought about the science that's going on there, and that's for the male, because our lizard brain is always working behind our intellectual self, and for the male, the 20-year-old speaks to fertility and wanting to be able to, have children and go on. Even if Shannon's not thinking I'm going to have a child with that woman, for example, using Shannon, that fertility is still attractive in his lizard brain. And for the younger woman, the older man offers stability and security and the ability to protect that offspring and prosper. So I think there's some lizard brain stuff going on there that I didn't think about. They also found that they tend to be sometimes very healthy relationships, but they made a key point. There's a big difference between a 60 and a 45-year-old and them in a relationship, and a 60-year-old and a 20-year-old. Like, it depends on where you are in life and what your desires are and what your partner's desires are. So I came away with it like, okay, some of these relationships I can live with, but I just feel like the younger women with the older man, I just feel like the older man is stealing from that younger woman. He's stealing moments, he's stealing innocence, he's stealing natural growth. And she don't know any better. And if she knew better, it'd be okay. But she don't know any better, and that's disturbing to me.
But I think that would depend on the stage, because the definition of younger, like you just said, the 60,
I meant like the 20-year-old.
Okay, I would say because the 60 and the 45.
Yeah. No, I meant the 20-year-old. I meant the
Okay.
20-year-old.
So is it the same in reverse? It's like, well, I forgot
With-
what basketball player with the 35-year-old woman,
Yes.
the woman is stealing.
Yes.
I'd say because the brother, our frontal lobe ain't even closed. We
Yeah.
dumb till we 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we
We
don't.
well beyond 30.
Yeah. I was trying to.
And it's situationally, we're dumb forever, but
We don't acknowledge the trauma of young Black men at all, or young men in general at all. The YG and the Kanye stuff, and those sexual things that they went through as children, that stuff is quite common, and it's never
Kelly.
talked about, and kids just live with it. Young men just live with it, and we wonder why they're angry and upset, because they handle the depression and things in quiet. So
it
yeah,
happened, it happened to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't go as far as to say that it's stealing. I think that I think there's different situations, right? And I think that some young women are going out for that plan because they're, for whatever trauma, whatever things in their life, they're going out for their plan. They're trying to attract a rich man, an older rich man, for the stability. I don't think that that's stealing. I don't think it's the best choice to make for me. I don't think it's probably not a fully well-informed choice, but it is.
Is that part important though, Kev? The fact that she's making a choice that isn't informed,
yeah,
and he is.
I said it might not. It might not be the best well informed because she just doesn't have the life experiences. But you're making a choice. You're making a choice. It's not. You're not being. It's not stealing. It's not necessarily taking advantage. If you're out there, if I'm looking for money, if I'm looking for some man to lavish me with gifts, trips, and all of these things, and then I get it, like you're getting exactly what you want. Now you might not have thought about the full consequences, or the full consequences might matter to you, they might not.
But if I'm a man and I know what you want is futile, and I know that you're not probably going to get those things, that I'm here for a good time and not a long time, and that she's just fooling herself amongst a long list of other women who are fooling themselves, and I get what I want out of this situation.
But that's what happens when men have money.
And she doesn't get what she wants. Did I not steal something from her?
She's getting the trip. She's getting the things. She might not get the ultimate bag, but she's getting.
I think, Chat, a couple of points that when relationships totally become business type transactions, it's a slippery slope because to your point, and from Kev's take, it's like, okay, whoever negotiated better got what they wanted. And it's like, all right, bet, because it's like, hey, if I can charge this client X amount 100 per hour and they're gonna get the bag, I'm gonna take it. But then this other one, I know that I can't. And then also, I think when we've made relationships the moment, as opposed to like all three of us have been married. All three of us have been married longer than that young lady was alive.
Yes.
Let that sit. So, but we're probably the unicorns and they're going to push us out the room and we don't no longer have seats at the table. It is what it is. But I think the immediacy and I want to get what I want to get, as opposed to me seeing this relationship longer term, Kev using that business term, I don't think people factor in opportunity costs. It's like, yo, this joint feels great now with that huge age gap and that stability is there, that money is there. But one thing that I'm understanding as I age, we get older a lot faster than our youth. Like, meaning that the way I felt last year, it's not the way I'm feeling this year, but 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we could go play full court pretty much the same. There really wasn't much different.
Yeah.
And so you might have caught me on a good day. We can go on vacation and do all the things today.
Yeah.
I can't promise you what 57 is going to look like or what 58's looking like. I'm doing my best at 56 so that it could look similar, but are you ready? Are you ready for that? But you're not factoring that in because, like, yo, I'm just here for the moment. I'm just here for this. And I think one thing I will say to both of you, working with, like, teaching out of college, and so being around younger people, a lot of them actually want stable relationships.
Yeah.
Now, what they may look like or what they're thinking that they are, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. So in some instances, you're presenting what they think looks like this is what I want, but then there's some manipulation that's behind that. So which is hugely problematic. But hey, speaking of going too far, we spent too much time on this. We've gotten older talking about this topic.
So you want to talk about the D?
Donald Trump.
Yo, that's crazy because I really thought you was going to a whole different double entendre. You was like, talk
No.
about the D. I was like, wait a second. What type of show is this?
This is a family friendly show.
Family
Exactly.
friendly show. You could listen with your kids.
Yeah.
So, Donald Trump.
I was talking about Dallas Cowboys. Everybody get their mind out the gutter.
Exactly.
With sports fans and my team's in the toilet. But yes.
Yes.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, Donald Trump. He's coming in on his first 100 days, his second shot at
his second 100 days. Yeah.
And this time he came in with a plan. The Project 2025, which he didn't know anything about during the during the election cycle.
Yeah.
So suddenly somebody slipped him the cliff notes.
Yeah.
And he's in running. He seems to be running the playbook that he knew nothing about. Amazing how that works. Using some of those very same people that were writing that helped gather it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know anything about the report. I don't know who wrote it, but you get appointed and you get appointed.
Exactly.
Like, didn't you write chapter 4? You get appointed.
You implement chapter 4. You implement chapter 5.
So here he is. He's got 100 days in. He's done some magical things. He's wars are over. American economy is back. Beautiful coal is burning. Tariffs are working like a charm. Russia, Ukraine, over. Hostages released.
Egg prices are down.
He's open. He's open to deporting actual American citizens to El Salvador.
Yeah,
we got to look into that. We're gonna talk to the AG, see what she says about that.
They arrested a judge yesterday. Like, I mean, what could be better?
Yeah. And we're shutting down the Department of Education.
Yeah,
law firms got to get in line.
Yeah,
law firms getting extorted.
It's like,
colleges folding. Shout out to Harvard for showing some backbone.
Shout out to Harvard and all these other schools trying to get their schools to join the pact.
Yeah, man.
And this was just 100 days.
Yo, honestly, man, I'll say this. This has to be the most effective 100 days I've ever seen in the presidency. Normally, the first 100 days, you do 3 or 4 things, Kevin.
Yeah.
You kind of get like maybe 3 or 4 bills pushed through based upon the mandate the people have given you.
I don't think has he done a bill? Has he done?
No, yeah, he's executive order and everything.
All he did was the budget.
Yeah. The only thing I'm confused about, and I don't know if you guys heard about this, is he signed the education bill the other day about HBCUs.
Yeah.
Did y'all peep that?
Yeah, I saw Howard's email.
But then I saw something that said it was rescinded. So I'm confused.
Howard was like, I don't know. Did you see the email?
No.
I saw the headline. I didn't read the email. I was involved with finals.
I read it, through the alumni. I was like, what is this? What are we saying? We saying we happy with it? What?
Are we toting the line?
Yeah.
Are we toting the line?
Are we okay?
Which is pretty much the sound like, give the black schools the money. I'm like, nah, man. There's strings with that. That's like going to jail. And the person be like, yeah, I'm gonna protect you. Nah.
Yeah. You look like you don't know what jail is like. I'm gonna help you get through this. Out of the goodness of my heart.
It's like, yeah, man. Nah.
And your oodles and noodles and your Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So once you put money on my books, I'm gonna keep helping.
Yeah. Next thing you know, your mother's getting a ring on the doorbell by Los Zetas. You need to pay $200 a month.
Yeah.
See, look at this. We started talking about the president, and we went right to talk about prison. If that is not irony, that's not irony.
Yo, he's.
I would say for me, I'm a little. There's a part of me that's confused because I remember the Schoolhouse Rock episode when they explained the 3 parts of government, and I recall Obama being in office and pretty much people saying the president is just a figurehead. He didn't have any power. And this president comes in and he just seems to literally do whatever he wants to do, and seemingly nobody's stopping this train. And that's the part that I'm scratching my head. Like, what's gonna happen come midterms?
Yeah, that's it. Midterms are the only thing that will save us. And I think the Republicans know that they're probably going to lose at least the House or the Senate. They're going to lose one chamber, is what I'm trying to say. And once they lose that one chamber, we'll have investigative powers on the Democratic side. And then you can fight the executive orders. You can question the president. But what you have now is you have two houses, and the people who are in control of investigations are abdicating their responsibility. So
I just feel that there's such a growing sentiment of displeasure and distrust even in the Democratic Party. I hope it doesn't correlate to people not showing up to the polls.
If people don't show up for this,
I'm just saying that
we deserve whatever we get.
I don't know, man. This is just as I don't want to say scary. It's just a perplexing time, and I feel like there's a lot of people, a lot of segments of our population that supported Trump. Sadly, drawing a parallel, Kev, you said that you felt like that Howard letter is kind of toting the line, and is it set up where, hey, as long as we get it, we're good, and whatever happens, we'll kind of figure that out. I think that sentiment was a lot of America voting, because to some degree, Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. It was just being presented in a way that everything would be affecting them. Now, whoever that them would represent would be based upon how you see yourself. But we all knew we're all going to feel, we all are going to feel the brunt of this, because I've yet to go into a supermarket that had a Trump supporter section, and it's like, you got to pay the Harris price, or you got to go buy that
Dem section over here.
Exactly, you
bananas
get
are in Dems. Bananas are in Dems.
The fruit smoothie, that's a Dem product, and when you file your taxes, it's not asking your political party. So there's going to be some suffering that we're going to have to endure and deal with.
Look, check it out. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
There is a part of me where I kind of smirk a little bit at the people doing all this complaining. And I'm like,
you don't smirk a little, Kev. Keep it a buck.
You're right. You should have worked harder. You should have been active. You really should have paid attention to what's going on, rather than just giving people a shot. As a black person, I'm like, listen, man.
And this is a man who volunteers during elections.
Yeah. Because I always want to have skin in the game.
He walks the walk. He's not just.
Yeah, no doubt.
And
he's not armchair. He's in the street. He outside.
And I'm like, yo,
he might have called you.
as people, like as black people, we're used to this, right? We're used to living in this country, living in this world where they say these are the rules. We're gonna follow these rules. We have to follow the rules, but you know what? They can change the rules if they want. We can get turned around and smacked around. They can do all these bad things to us. Like this is what we're used to.
Yeah.
Some of the larger community, you're not really used to that. Like there's the saying, what is it? As black people, like we're like bound by the law, but we're not protected by it.
Yes.
Ooh, what a bar.
And so right now you're joining us. This is how we live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, you can't arrest people without a warrant. You can't come in my house without a warrant. All
We've been living that.
Like this is our life. I'm sorry you get to see. Am I sorry? Maybe I'm not sorry.
That's what you say. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm sorry people are impacted by it, but I'm kind of like, I want you to see what life is like when we're constantly protected, and the way that society is going, the way that the income inequality, housing inequality, and all these things, it's only going to get worse. And where before it's it's economic, and some of the people who voted for Trump in some of these red states are now starting to recognize when they lost their jobs. It's like, oh, it is really an economic thing. It's not necessarily a race thing.
Yeah.
And they live in states that are highly dependent upon the federal government for funds. We live in New York State. We're gonna be all right if you start rolling back federal money, because we give way more than we take back. So
I'm gonna give you a Lyndon Johnson quote in the 60s. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. You give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
Wow.
All right, we're done here.
No. I want to do Trump approval ratings to put it in perspective. He's at 42% after the first 100 days. This is a man that's crazy. 54% of disapproval of his job performance. So you got to remember, in that 42%, it's that 28% of his base. So other than his base, his hardcore base, very few Americans are supporting him. 29% of independents approve of him. And more than 60% of independents say he is exceeding the powers granted to him. And they go on to...
I disagree with that.
Yeah. There's many other, you can look it up yourself, people, but in terms of his approval ratings on the economy, on tariffs, on the stock market, on Russia, everything is dismal. So I don't know a president who's had approval ratings this bad in the first 100 days ever.
One of the things I used to tell when I'm teaching in the classroom, and I'd say, I'm smart. And I say, you know why I know I'm smart? Because I know I don't know a whole lot. Yeah. Donald Trump tells us he's smart. Donald Trump swears he knows a whole lot. Donald Trump, he's right about everything. The tariffs, the Doge, firing people and having to pull people back. You fired people for cancer research. Oh, I got to bring them back. Like just all these different jobs where you fired, you brought them back. You're doing things in this haphazard way, and
as we wrap this up, my heart, like we finished college and or entered into our young adulthood in the early 90s. So we came out in a recession where jobs in certain fields was really, it was a challenge. It was definitely challenging. And that caused a lot of us to stay in DC a little bit longer because we huddled up and we did what we had to do to get by. And we felt like that was a challenging time. And for us, it was, because as we were saying earlier, you know what you know. But for these young people now that are coming out with so much uncertainty, and the one thing that was there for us that now clearly is not there for them. Remember, they were like, yo, man, you get a good government job, you're straight.
Yep.
That was what we were told. Like,
we were told the manufacturing world is gone. However, you can still have the good government job.
You get a good government job.
Work your 20.
You get into that at that time, was it the big six firms? Yeah. Like there was certain things. It's like, hey, if you get into this, then you're gonna be good.
Yep.
And now all of that is being shaken, and then they're talking about if you default in student loans, going to collections, like so.
And Tim, you know what? I'm gonna even do one more. In a recession, they're like, okay, if you can't get a job, what do? You go back to school.
Yeah.
But then they're in the midst of destroying that.
Yeah, and going back to school for us did not cost, even if you factor in comparable to what's being charged now.
Yes.
Like Howard is over $60 a year.
Yeah.
And that was a number I would like.
What is one credit cost? What's the cost to take a 3-credit class if you just want to go there? That's got to be like $4,000.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let you know. Our first semester tuition was $1,500. My room and board was $660 for the semester.
I remember that because I remember the $660 being
$660. I got a single the second year, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm about to break the bank. Are my parents gonna be all right?" I think it was it 1,000 or maybe 900?
Yeah, I just know with these price points and the selectivity or how selective they are. Like I could say with my heart, Lou Phi would not exist because all of us collectively were not in the top 5% of our high schools. 1500s on SATs, you know, full packages of community service and leadership. No, we can put our chips on the table now. But I'm saying,
I wasn't in the top 50
as a
you know what?
As a collective of 18-year-olds.
I hate that example though, because I always feel like if we were growing up now, we would do those things, man. I think we would do those things.
No.
Y'all might.
I'm not saying we wouldn't have. I'm just using just like how we
were to what is required. Yes.
But also, as what we've been saying earlier, like giving people the opportunity to grow up.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
like you know what
that was the greatness of Howard.
You know what I'm saying? That is to the point where we all came in at 18 as coal. At best, some people had a glimmer, like I think I see a diamond there. But for the most part, we're coal. We're 18.
Yeah.
And so, but now to get into some of these colleges, it depends on not only what you do in high school, but what high school you go to.
Yeah.
And then to get into certain high schools, it got to be based upon what you did in middle school.
Yeah.
So now you're dealing with the anxiety of getting into college in 7th grade.
Man, in New York City, there's people who worried about the preschool they get into.
Let me tell you something, man.
Facts. Take us out of this topic because you've been living it. You're living it.
I've been living it for my child. You know, we here in the
who's
city,
smarter than all of us,
and we didn't mess with the public schools, and I'll never forget
because you worked in them.
I worked in them. And I'll never forget doing something for one of the preschools, about 3-4 years old. No, he's like 2, and they asked us we had to write essays, and one of the questions was, "What are your child's hobbies?" I'm like, he's 2, picking up stuff and putting it in his mouth. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like he's shown prodigy tendencies. He's picked up the violin,
and you know, so like it's definitely a thing. And you know, we stayed with it all the way through school, and you know, it's the competitive nature is crazy.
Yeah,
he loves Madden football at 2 years old.
Like, no, what are his hobbies? He plays dice with his Uncle Aaron. Like he knows CeeLo. Like, yo,
what are we talking about here, man?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's unfortunate where we are as a country. Hopefully people will get a backbone. The thing that I said, Aaron, that I disagree with, I don't think he's going too far, because you only go too far when somebody puts limits up.
Yeah.
Because there are no limits. He hasn't gone too far, and he's going to continue to go. And the only time he's going to stop is when he's checked. And then that's going to be the new line. And the line just keeps getting extended and extended.
Yep. No doubt.
It's hard not to argue against that.
Well,
all right.
Speaking of power.
Speaking of Madden and football.
Or better yet, speaking of approval ratings.
Shedeur Sanders. We're in day 3 now. And he has not been drafted.
Yes.
He has been a consensus number 2, second-ranked quarterback.
Starting at number 1,
dropped to number 2, possibly 3, but really, you know, pretty much consensus 2. Some people may say 3. And here we are, 3 rounds, and he has not been drafted yet. She's dropped and dropped and dropped.
So
Do we think it's more than football?
Before we talk about some of the comments that have come from sports analysts and people have been surprised, on Truth Social, President Donald J. Trump, what is wrong with NFL owners? Are they stupid? Deion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He's also a very good coach, streetwise and smart. Therefore, Shador, his quarterback son, has phenomenal genes and is all set for greatness. He should be picked immediately by a team that wants to win. Good luck, Shador, and say hello to your wonderful father.
That's my president.
That's my president. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
I just wanted to couch the conversation. I mean,
we bash him all the time. Let's give him some sunlight, right?
Mel Kiper is Mel Kiper, but
you know what? That's
when the president says you got phenomenal genes.
That big black buck got phenomenal genes.
I see the trace the trace racism in it all. He's streetwise.
Yes, because
they played in the street.
Because he made that classic single, "Must Be the Money."
Goodness, yeah.
But no, I definitely think it's more than football. And I was saddened to hear Dan Orlovsky and Swagoo saying, "Oh, if it was other stuff, people would take him if he had the football ability. They would have took him in the first round." There's no way in the world you're gonna tell me he's a 4th round quarterback. There's no way on earth you're gonna tell me that. And it was about, and I was glad that Stephen A. Smith was like, "This is more than football," and they chastised him. And then rounds 2 and 3 came, and I think Stephen A. was proven right. This is about his father. This is about you thinking that other stuff comes with it, and you wanted to stay away from that because it ain't about his 74% accuracy rating. It ain't about his 50 some odd touchdowns.
It's not about his Johnny Unitas award.
Yeah, exactly.
People are now talking about he didn't interview. His interviews were bad. But here's something I thought this morning, because we know the NFL, they can be united when they want to be.
Yep.
And for me, and I thought about it, like, I wonder in some way, is this kind of retaliation for Deion telling the Cowboys, one of the most popular franchises, and I'm not speaking as a fan, like, he told the NFL no.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, okay, because clearly the NFL, the brand, it's like, it's crazy because all of the things that people are knocking as putting as negatives to Shador, if Deion would have said yes and became a head coach in the league, it would have been embraced. It would have been celebrated. You would have seen more Cowboy national games. They'd have added another camera just to flow on the sideline.
I mean, they're talking about he was arrogant in interviews. What quarterback do you not want full of confidence? And when does confidence become arrogance? That's a subjective individual observation.
I can say
Baker Mayfield.
Thank you, Kev. I was about to say Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
That
is not a trait that you should worry about with your quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you should worry about how he is as a team. I mean, clearly,
is he selfish? Yes.
I think it's a combination. Well, here's what I'll say. They did a masterful job of how they bashed him. You started off talking about his personality. You started off talking about Deion. So you're bashing, talking about all of any negative thing that he's done. And then in that last week before the draft, then you start honing in on the deficits in football, the things that you're concerned about that he can't do. Everybody, there's not one person in the NFL, there's not one person in this draft that does not have tons of deficits.
Yep.
And
Yep.
right, so you hone in. We talk about this. Oh, he holds on to the ball too long. Yeah, we know that. Oh, he drifts outside the pocket and he creates sacks. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, all of these things, but the fundamentals, he makes quick reads. So we know his mind is tight. We know he can do those things.
Yeah.
And so to me, they did kind of the masterful job of how they did it. I think it's a combination of his skills might not be first round. Skills might not be second round. I don't think that necessarily means that he won't be successful, but that's just where they see him right now. But
I don't think he's necessarily first round, but in the way that quarterbacks get drafted, Kevin, in the NFL historically,
yeah,
there's no way in the world you can't tell me that.
My team drafted Daniel Jones. You ain't got to tell me nothing.
If his name
and then gave him 140 million.
Exactly. If his name was Shador Lloyd, he'd be drafted already.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a combination of the football skills. It could be a combination of they didn't like how he got down with those interviews, and some other stuff. You shout out to Brother Webb who's on in the chat.
Shout out. It just shows you they can pick and choose in certain situations. What you do off the field will be perceived and matters more than what you do on the field. Because if there was a way, like Aaron said, talking about that 74%, if you could just put up stats without knowing the person, there's no way we're going into the fourth round. And if you just had quarterback X with those stats, the byline of really resurging two programs, like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like the resume. So you want to talk about starting from the bottom? Like, let's not forget where Colorado was. Like, we could if you don't pay attention to SWAC football, you may not have been following Jackson State. But it wasn't too long ago, Colorado was the doormat of the Big 12.
Yep.
And
the last time they were anybody with Kendall Stewart.
Yeah, Cordell Stewart.
I mean Cordell. I said Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, and so you could say Dion is a as the president said, a very good coach, but you're not having that turnaround if you don't have a quarterback.
Yep. If you didn't have Shador and Travis, none of that happens.
They went 5-19 in the previous 2 years before them. One of the ways in which I've heard them talk negatively about Shador said, well, they only went 13-12 during his time.
Yeah, and I know, but then it's like
5-19.
Crazy.
5-19, 5 wins, 1 win before he got there.
13-12. You have to examine the team.
And then they're saying 13-12, putting the 2 years together, not the first year and then the second year. But then here's the thing.
Not that they quadrupled their win total.
Exactly. But then it's like, okay, you're dinging him as the quarterback for 13-12, but then you want the coach in your league. Because Dion's coaching record had to be, if I'm not mistaken, unless the quarterback was quarterbacking and games didn't count on his record. I'm like, those are that kind of 3-card Molly. Like, come on, man. You can tell whatever story you want to tell, because then you could say, well, hey, maybe Travis Hunter is not a great 2-way player because his team only was 13-12.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of shades of who was that quarterback that left Tennessee because he tried to renegotiate, ask for more NIL money, and now
Oh, I know who he's talking about. Yeah, that was not too long ago. Yeah, he wanted $4 million.
He wanted $4 million.
He wanted $4 million instead of $2 million.
Yeah, he signed a 4-year deal, and I think it was a 4-year deal he signed, and then they made it for he wanted some more money.
Yeah.
But a bunch of players went back, asked for more money. It's like, yo, kick rocks. And now he left and he wound up getting a little less money. But to me, it's like, it's just a message being sent, like you're not going to control this.
We still control this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. At the end of the day, we still
schools want to find a way to get back to running the show.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, when I speak to that,
the plantation is still the plantation. Don't get it twisted.
Scholarships are not 4-year contracts.
Nope.
Yep.
People lose scholarships all the year. They threaten to lose them all the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm agreeing with you, Chuck. I think he is being Kaepernicked.
Yeah, man.
I had a chance to meet Kaepernick. Great guy.
Oh, word?
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Damn shame.
Well, so we're recording this live. So today is Saturday, April 26th. Round 4 begins at some point in the afternoon.
It's normally at noon.
Yeah.
So one of the Sanders will be picked. Imagine if Shiloh gets picked
before him.
Yeah, because
Shiloh's going undrafted.
Like, was Shiloh even in the house? Like, I hope Shiloh had a good major.
Yeah.
Aaron's like, I don't know. You can't wish the man a good education?
Oh,
yo, what is wrong? What's wrong with you? Doesn't your shirt say my heritage? What does your shirt say?
My heritage, my pride.
You can't wish Shiloh, Ghana Center. You're going out the camera. It just says Ghana Center
of something.
Center of
the world.
Center of the world. You can't wish that my man Shiloh had a good, strong education.
Yes.
I mean,
hope so.
Hopefully Shiloh could go back as a graduate.
He needs it either way. Come on, man. It's Shiloh Sanders, man.
Hopefully,
I'm just saying, man.
I'm playing. I'm kidding.
Now he could do what we had to do in the early 90s. Like, yo, if this ain't your time, go back to school.
Yeah.
Like, be on the sideline. Be in that DB room. Yeah, like you're good. If you still
coach with his father.
Yeah, that's if you want to, because I mean, some people when they finish on the college level, they're done. So and that's not a bad thing if he is, like, because if he's done, I mean, he was part of history, man. Being a part of 2 schools, like that's I think sometimes we always looking so far ahead, we miss out. Like, even if none of them ever played, man, the story of being able to be with your dad and go all the way through.
Yeah.
And then if both of them are even in a position where they get degrees.
And they stepped up from essentially 1AA, what do they call it? FCS football.
Yeah, like
to Division I football.
Yes. And was competitive. Like that's amazing.
It is.
So let's go from there to our favorite part of the show.
Our favorite part of the show.
Here we go. The Robinson Report.
We call that the Robinson Report, you dig?
Now we're going to get into those things that are giving us life.
And or making Reggie Jacks angry. Because that's a part of life too.
That's a part of life. That gives me life. I'm mad, y'all.
Yeah. Tell them why you mad, son.
When ain't you mad, bro? It's
I'm
the
mad.
Robinson.
It's the Robinson Report. I was going to talk about Sinners, but I'm mad.
Okay.
Go see Sinners. Great movie.
Okay.
But I'm mad. All right. I'm going to go in on Clearview. Technology. I'm going hard at technology. Remember Clearview AI, that facial recognition software?
Yes.
It's a danger to us all. So they scrape the web, they get all of our photos in, they sell that product to the police, to governments. Like if you get banned from Madison Square Garden, they got your picture that they scrape from the internet. And if you try to enter in Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall, they'll scoop you up, stop you at the door. You got to go away.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so they sell it to different companies. I'm sure casinos purchase it, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So now they tried this new plan where they wanted to. They tried to purchase 690 million arrest records, 390 million photos from all 50 states. Information included the home addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, phone numbers, and email addresses.
Police state.
Luckily, you know what? We got a government, and the government, the Consumer Protection Agency, they prevented this overreach, right? Hell no. That is not what happened. The deal fell apart. The deal fell apart because they were trying to buy it from another information broker, and the two of them, they couldn't agree and went to arbitration. They couldn't agree on the utility of the material, and the deal wound up falling apart. So only greed got in the way.
Wow.
But they're still coming. They still coming for us, y'all.
You know that at some point that will get worked out. You were going to get two people in a room that are going to be willing to sell that information at some point, even if it's a different company.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the fear is that Clearview AI is trying to purchase it, or that some broker has this information, but they just don't have the digital means to put it to a horrible use. So I mean, we getting closer and closer to, I forget that movie where they, where they see your face and they
Minority Report.
Minority Report, yeah. First they're gonna tell us they're gonna just sell us ads off our face, and then it's
dudes are gonna be getting eye transplants so that they could walk in the mall.
Yeah.
Dystopian future.
So Tim, what you got, bro?
All right. I gotta shout out a young recent grad of Howard, little brother of mine, artist named Zuri, Zuri. He has an album called Memoirs of Solitude on all platforms. But I really want to shout him out because I just finished teaching my class, and for the final, my students had to basically produce poems like if you were making beats, where you had to pull text and use them as samples to create your own piece.
Okay.
And so the pieces that they had to sample from was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album, the book of poetry I wrote called Where Are We Going, which is based off of Marvin Gaye's album, and then this young man Zuri's album. He allowed me to use some of his songs, and so it was really cool seeing students who were familiar with him kind of sample and see where those words come into play. And then he's also from DC, and so he has one song called Recollections of 18th and Monroe. And so just being able to have a student be connected with Marvin, who's also from DC, was just something that was really, really dope. And then the last part, I'm going to shout out my students because they also had to do and perform a remake of Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares. So their last assignment, they had to spit for 3 minutes and 2 seconds. They had to flip, and they had to go hard when that piano change comes in. Like they had to give it, and they did an amazing job. So shout out to the young people, man. Make sure you got some young people around your life in some way or form. They give you life.
I ain't mad at that. So
what you got, bro?
My trip to Ghana, brothers. It's weird because I've been to the slave dungeons before, but the one thing I want to remind our people is I'm tired of hearing about how we didn't fight back. For those who've never been, there is a room in the slave dungeons that has no windows, and the African enslaved, when they're brought to the ports who are fighting, are thrown into this room, not for compliance, but until death. And I want you guys to think about this. There is a room dedicated for those that fought. So this wasn't a few people. This was a constant, steady problem. And they had to go so far as to ensure death to get compliance with the rest of the slaves. So don't let anyone tell you that your people historically didn't fight. They fought, they resisted, and be thankful for who and what you are. Fight back foolish stuff like slavery is a choice. But it touched me. I've been to the dungeons a few times, several different dungeons. I never get over it. It is a life rewarding experience, and if you can go, go, because it's like touching your ancestors. And that is my Robinson report.
Dope. Yes, definitely. Once again, the power of the narrative. And and I just think to some point we got to stop talking about and really casting judgment on situations that truthfully are really beyond what we can truly comprehend. You know what I mean? I think even just, and this is like, we're old enough where we can say, man, if I was in civil rights time, I would have da 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 da. It's easier to say.
Yep.
It's real easier to say when you know, and that's incomparable to the slave trade. But I just wanted to give something that was a lot closer.
Yeah.
That
I'm with you, brother.
That's like, hey, because we all were in college. I can't raise my hand and just quickly say, yo, I'd have been on the bus doing the freedom rides.
Yeah.
I would have been down in Mississippi for my summers, and like, you would hope that you would have been moved to, but so
when you look at the amount of people that went, most people did it.
Yeah.
But to your point, Tim, during the tour, there were several young men, and remember they're in high school, so it's understandable. But they was like, I wouldn't have, they showed the 5-point harness and how heavy it is, and you got to walk with this, and they're like, they wouldn't have put this on me. I would have been fighting. I would have did this. I would have did that. And they were quickly reminded by some adults, you would have complied.
Not only would you have complied, you didn't know what was on the other side.
Yep, exactly.
You didn't know the horror that was coming your way.
Exactly.
Like I say, I mean, you think about
it. To your point, that's how people feel that way, and it happens. But not knowing, we should give grace when we don't walk in others' shoes.
Yes, and especially and then also acknowledge, like, when it comes to that, we'll never know that horror.
Yep.
Like, we will never, like, yes, things are bad now, and potentially they can get worse, based upon what you believe and what may be coming. And I don't mind being wrong, because I love doing this podcast, because it's not a test. It's not about us being 100% right. But I can't imagine feeling the horror of the slave trade. From the ship, from the shore. I can't imagine that. So I think to say what you should have, what you would have, could have, like, just stop.
And the room that they put the slaves in to never leave, Tim, is the size of your office.
Wow.
The size of your office with no window. Basically a little bit bigger than your room, Kevin.
Yeah, like,
so we're talking.
We could barely
unimaginable.
We could barely unify to boycott Target.
Yeah.
Like, come on. We know y'all still sliding in aisle 3, or now it's like, yo, I just don't go there. I get it DoorDash. I mean, like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
When's that Target boycott in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, people like, we're boycotting Target for Lent. Like, come on, man. Like, I digress. Like, let me stop. Let me get out my bag. See, this is when we've been on too much. We've been on too long. This is what happens. Y'all are getting to see that my mic sounds nice behind the scenes, on the scene.
Oh, see, I ain't the only angry one.
Yeah, no doubt. I started off in a good mood. Now I'm mad.
But also, I said, guys, I wasn't boycotting Target, so from the jump.
Oh, I should have sent you my order.
I was that dude.
Awesome. So we need to send our orders to Aaron. Okay, bet, no doubt.
Yes.
But yo, man, glad you're back. Glad it's springtime. Kev, hopefully,
Kevin and I go riding next Sunday.
Oh, that's what's up. I would say hopefully our nephew, your son, finishes his semester soon. Year one down. Yeah. Like, that's it seems like it wasn't too many shows ago that you was telling us he was going to prom acting a fool. But so time continues to move. And so y'all got the 5 borough joint coming up soon, right?
Next
week. Yeah.
First Sunday in May.
Yeah. Ask us who's been on the bike yet.
Yeah.
No.
So they'll be training on My Mic Sounds Nice. Maybe this year they will get the Go camera on the bucket hat, and then when they're riding. But this is an annual thing that Kev and Aaron and Lou, who's a guest that should come one day, they normally do together, and they get to ride around the whole city. And it's been good, and so we look forward to that post report, because that show will be all about health and recovery, and
they broke us
and steroids.
for real.
But yo, man, great show as always. This is Tim signing off. My mic sounds nice. Until next time.
My mic sounds nice. This is Kev.
My mic sounds nice. This is A, the new AKA Dundada.
Yeah. AKA Passport A.
Yeah. AKA the bike tour is gonna break me.
AKA don't get deported riding through Staten Island.
AKA I rock with Target.
Wow.
AKA I'm gonna get stoned tomorrow saying it.
Yeah. The voice, the views and opinions expressed by our producer are not necessarily the views and opinions of My Mic Sounds Nice.
Yeah.
But I don't rock with Walmart, so
that's all right. I mean, you can shoplift at Target, but you can't shop there.
I wouldn't know about it. All right, y'all.
Jokes, y'all. All right.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Yo, that's crazy. Kev said you could shoplift at Target.